My wife said I was insecure for questioning her CEO dinners, so I stayed quiet. What I did next ended her career and our marriage.
She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting a sleek, expensive dress I'd never seen before. The kind she used to save for our special nights out? When she caught my reflection, she sighed like my presence was a burden she had to tolerate. "Stop being insecure," she said, her back still to me. "It's just drinks with my CEO." I didn't argue. I didn't ask any questions. I just nodded and went back to the papers spread across our dining table. She mistook my silence for surrender. That was her first mistake. For months, something had felt off. The late nights that blurred into early mornings. The so-called business trips that never matched the company calendar. A new password on her phone. A new laugh she no longer shared at home. I learned a long time ago that patterns never lie, but people do. So instead of confronting her, I watched, I listened, and I prepared. When she left that night, her perfume trailing behind her like a goodbye she didn't realize was permanent, I made 3 calls. The first was to my lawyer. The second was to a financial analyst I trusted with my life. And the third was to a man who specialized in corporate investigations. The anger I had been feeling for weeks was gone. In its place was a cold, sharp focus. She came home close to midnight, humming softly, dripping with a confidence that wasn't meant for me. She stopped dead when she saw me sitting in the dark. "You're still up?" she asked, a little too brightly. "You really need to work on those trust issues." I turned on the lamp beside me, flooding the room with light. "Your bags are packed," I said, my voice even. She laughed, a short, sharp sound. "You're being dramatic." "They're not mine," I replied. Her smile faltered, just enough for me to see the fear underneath. "You wouldn't do that," she said, trying to regain her footing. "You need me." That single sentence told me everything I needed to know, the power she thought she held over me. I slid a thick manila folder across the table toward her. She hesitated before opening it. Inside were hotel receipts, all charged to her company card. Photos of her and her CEO entering the same hotel in 3 different cities. Printed emails marked confidential that had absolutely nothing to do with work. Her hands began to tremble as she flipped through the pages. "You spied on me?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "No," I said calmly. I audited the truth. Then came the performance. She tried to cry. She tried to explain it all away. She tried to blame the stress, the pressure, and then, predictably, she tried to blame me. I let her talk. I didn't interrupt. I had already mourned the end of our marriage weeks ago, in silence. This was just the epilogue. What she didn't know was that while she was enjoying her business dinners, I had been quietly buying up shares in her company through a series of holding firms. Small pieces at first, then more. Enough to matter, enough to have a vote. The next morning she went to work early, determined to regain control, to fix whatever damage she thought I had done. I poured myself a cup of coffee and waited. At 9:17 a.m., my phone rang. It was my analyst. "They've called an emergency board meeting," he said. "And she's not invited." At 10:03 a.m., another call came through. Her CEO has been suspended pending a full investigation. By noon, the official company-wide email went out. New ownership structure, an immediate internal audit, a review of all expense fraud. She came home that afternoon. She looked smaller, shaken, completely stripped of the arrogance she'd worn like armor for months. "They walked me out," she said, her voice cracking. "Security, in front of everyone." I just nodded. That's what happens when trust is misused. Her anger flared, a last desperate spark. "You did this just to hurt me." "No," I said, looking her straight in the eye for the first time all day. "You did this to yourself. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences." The divorce was finalized quickly. The infidelity clause and the evidence of financial misconduct meant there was no courtroom drama, just signatures and silence. Weeks passed. The house started to feel lighter, quieter, more honest. One evening, as I was sitting alone on the balcony, just watching the city lights flicker to life, I realized something completely unexpected. I wasn't relieved because she was gone. I was relieved because, for the first time in a very long time, I had finally chosen myself. She thought calling me insecure would keep me small. She thought my silence meant I was weak. She thought my loyalty was guaranteed no matter what. She was wrong on all counts. I never raised my voice. I never begged. I never chased. I simply stepped aside and let the truth collapse the entire world she had built on lies. And then I walked forward, free, steady, and finally, completely at peace. Thanks for watching.